So today I'm going to talk about the spring equinox and how to celebrate this time of year with ritual and plant medicine and themes that may arise for you in your life at this time of year to work with. So the spring equinox is the official start of spring as we transition from winter into spring. The equinox is the day when the night and the day are of equal measure. So the light half and the dark half of the day are about equal. And from here on, the light will dominate for the next 6 months. So we enter into the light's domain. So the equinox is kind of a transitional gateway into the light half of the year. And it is also this momentary pause for reflection as kind of, the scales of light and dark go in these cyclical patterns and move up and down. And the equinoxes are a moment when the light and the dark are balanced. And so we have this ability to kind of pause, this moment of pause that acts as a gateway and as a transition pivot point into then this next half of the year. So almost like this pause for intention of like, okay, I'm intentionally stepping into this light half of the year. And something about balance, though, is it never is exactly still. Balance is always kind of shifting and morphing depending on how things are moving. And so if you take a step this way, you might need to pull back this way. And it's a dance. It's a dynamic dance. And so considering this idea of balance in your life on this day, like there can be stillness, there can be momentary time to pause and reflect. And we can also consider balance as more of a moving and dynamic dance in our lives. And it's a great time to consider what may need to be fueled, what may need to be fed in your life to help bring you into a more balanced life. Like maybe if your body and your energy and your life is always being pulled this way, like what's happening over here that could be nourished, that you could help pull yourself and your life back into a center place. And also recognizing that you may be doing this for a little while for a balance. So holding both these polarities, both the pause, the stillness, and the dynamicness of balance, which is something that the equinox also offers us, is this exploration of polarity, this exploration of duality. We're holding the light, we're holding the dark, they're both here. What can we learn about exploring polar opposites? What can we learn about exploring and holding more than one side of something, more than one thing in our field of vision at once, which is really something that the whole world needs right now. So that's one way of really stepping into this energy, is exploring balance. And I've offered a couple ways, but you can also, journal about balance in your life, like journal about how much time you devote to different realms in your life, and what may need tweaking, what may need some more intentional breath breathed into a certain area. Spring initiates us into the element of air, so breath and expansion and lightness, and using breath in more intentional ways. So considering balance, journaling about your life, considering holding polarities, and sitting in the dynamic dance of multiple truths happening simultaneously. This spring equinox is also this time, like I had mentioned earlier, this gateway into this light half of the year, and it's an initiatory gateway. It's a transitional time. So I like to ritualize that transition in some ways, or just make it intentional in some ways, taking a day, taking a couple hours, an afternoon, or even an hour to welcome the spring, to transition from winter by opening up the doors, the windows, by sweeping and with intention of clearing out old stagnant energy from what's been sitting around from the winter. Winter carried us from the end of last year into this moment now. So, sweeping out any of that old stuff from the end of last year. It is traditional to do spring cleaning. It's a wonderful time to ritualize that practice. Ritual meaning just doing something with intention and calling in the wider energies that support you to support the process that you're going through. So as you clean, calling in the air, calling in the waters, calling in your guides, calling in just the energy or essence of spring to help come and clear out the house to create a fresh beginning. The equinox is traditionally thought of as this new beginning, a rebirth, and an awakening. So think about the areas in your life that do feel like they're going through some awakening, some rebirth, some renewal, considering the aspects of your soul, your work, your love, your body, your home, whatever it is, thinking about what feels kind of alive or like it's wanting to be liberated in some way. That's after the containment of winter. There's a liberation that's available to us. So, meditating on or journaling on or thinking about this idea, like feeling into your body of what areas might want to be liberated in your body, in your life, and how you can use breath to breathe into the areas of your body, to breathe metaphorically life into these areas of your life, to awaken and enliven and nourish them. So that's another area you can focus on for this equinox. Another thing that I like to do around this time is to initiate a morning movement practice. And this could be, as simple as rolling your joints each morning. Each of your joints, just like awakening, getting blood, getting energy to flow. It could be a shaking practice, letting your body bounce and move and awaken and enliven. It could be a walk in the morning. It could be exercise, whatever feels good, but just kind of getting in the habit of slowly incorporating more movement and just bringing that flow into the mornings a little bit more to initiate the day with that awakening energy. And another thing that feels important about this time of year is moving into action. So, metaphorically, if we've, planted, like we've shed everything in the fall, we're kind of in this like fallowness, the stillness. We planting intentional seeds at solstice, New Year's time, reassessing at Imbolc and recommitting to these ideas. And now we're just like ready to go, after all this like incubation, this dreaming, this kind of building up of the potential energy of our ideas. We're ready for action. So saying yes to something, taking a step, doing something that you've been afraid to do, courage, like calling on the energy of courage, considering how much courage it must take for the seed to like burst up through the soil into the sun, like what that must feel like, and kind of honing that energy and bringing that into your projects and your life at the moment. So this is also a wonderful time to start working with the earth, working with the soil, working with your garden, planting your seeds, tending the seedlings, harvesting, nourishing plants and weeds, and really, like nourishing your body with the green world around you. And I'll talk about plant medicines next, but just this idea of all of the earth is, waking up, it's rising up. There's so much new growth, and like all of the spring weeds and herbs and medicinals are just like jam-packed with nourishment and nutrients to help reawaken and realign in our bodies. So really trying to get to know your neighborhood, your garden, your backyard, and see what's growing. Maybe get yourself an plant identification book, a wild edible plant book, a medicinal plant book, and just see like what you can play around with, and putting these plants into your body, or just saying hi and knowing who's around. So 3 plants that I would love to talk about today are Dandelion, Cleavers, and Nettle. And these are all, like I said earlier, just super jam-packed with vitamins, minerals, nourishment, awakening, enlivening energy for the body. Dandelion is probably one that you know, that you've seen, that you've heard of. The leaves are extremely bitter and wonderful for helping the digestive juices flow. It's wonderful to add to salads or just to nibble when you're out in your yard. You can use the flower. You can eat the flowers. They do have this just like bright, joyful, enlivening energy. They want us to awaken and to just enjoy life to the fullest. And so consuming those flowers, you can make a little batter and make little fritters out of them, soak the flowers in the batter and then fry them up. The root of the dandelion is also extremely medicinal. It's really wonderful liver support, kidney tonic. People often roast the root as a coffee substitute. There's so many ways to work with dandelion. You can do a quick Google search about it, or just play around with it, and ask the plant how you should work together. And it's also a good excuse if you are pulling dandelions out of your garden or your yard, to use that medicine. Don't let it go to waste. Keep the root, dry the root out, eat the flower, use the leaves for your salads, and enjoy the enlivening energy. And the second plant I want to talk about is Cleavers. This plant, you also probably know. It is one that it's very sticky. It has little kind of like hooks along the stem and the leaf, little sticky things. So if you walk through a patch of it, it'll likely cling to your leg. And so it has this long stem and these whorls of little leaves, 6 to 8 leaves around the stem. And it's an amazing lymphatic cleanser. It just helps scrub out the old gunk in the body. It has an affinity for the throat. It's helped me a lot with chronic lymph swelling in my throat, which I don't have anymore thanks to Cleavers. Helps, cleanse and purify the chakras, especially the throat chakra, to help us, voice our truths, help manifest our desires into action, into, the spoken word, to carry out our deepest desires into the world. It's wonderful as a fresh tea. It's wonderful as a vinegar. You can harvest some, pack the plant material into a jar and pour vinegar till it just covers the plant, and then wait, a handful of days to a week for it to sit, and then you strain it out, and it's a great way to extract the minerals. You could make a vinegar out of the dandelion, the nettles, and the cleavers together. That would be amazing. And just whatever other spring herbs that call to you. What else do I want to say about cleavers? I think that's mainly it. Just another amazing, purifying, cleansing, support system to help refresh and spring clean out the lymph, spring clean the kidneys. It's also a gentle nervine, so it helps calm the nerves with this excess kind of energy that can happen at this time of year. And the last medicine is nettle. And whenever I see nettles poking up in the spring, I just get so happy, because it's this initiatory moment for me to really signify that the spring is here. They kind of sing. I have this theory or just this feeling that they kind of sing the earth awake in this way. There's this rejoicing that happens as they're emerging. They sting. They have little tiny hairs on the underside of the leaves and on the stem. So be careful when you harvest or when you work with them. But they're in the mint family, so they have a square stem and opposite leaves. They kind of look like a mint, a little more jagged, a little more pointy leaves. But nettles is wonderful for purifying the blood, for just almost every system of the body, I'd say. The lungs, the skin, the kidneys, the uterus, the blood, just jam-packed with nourishment, with vitamins and minerals and iron, and kind of helps us come into balance between this this grounding nourishment to sustain us, while it gives us this energy, this joy for life, this kind of zesty energy to take action with. So it has kind of these polarities that I talked about in the beginning of the talk. So I think that's it. I could talk about this forever, so I better stop. But if you appreciated this video, hit the like button and please subscribe. And if you want to hear more frequently from me, about twice a month, you can sign up for my newsletter and receive a free guided meditation to connect deeply with the earth and to meet a tree ally for yourself. So I'll see you next time, and enjoy the spring.